This is KGW News at noon.
The city is on a trend to have its deadliest year in decades. And while urban gun violence is impacting cities throughout the United States, we are not other cities. This is our home, and we need to do better here.
That was Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler speaking just a short time ago about the city's rise in gun violence. Thanks for joining us for the news at noon today. I'm Drew Carney, and we're leading off with that briefing today from the mayor. So during the press conference, he said dozens of people have died already this year in Portland because of gun violence. And the mayor also acknowledged there needs to be more focus on preventing these deadly shootings. He talked about it being a long-term effort, that it would take some time to get this under control. But in the short term, Mayor Wheeler says the city needs more police officers to help improve police response times. And he also hopes people will start using 311 for non-emergency needs and leave the 911 calls for the city's true emergency situations. We have more on today's briefing from the mayor on our website, kgw.com. We also learned today that former Portland Police Chief Penny Harrington died earlier this week at her home in California. Current Chief Chuck Lavelle posted this picture and message on Twitter. Harrington achieved so many firsts during her law enforcement career here in Portland. She was the city's first female detective, sergeant, lieutenant, and captain. And when she became police chief, she was the first woman to hold that position within a major police agency anywhere in the country. Penny Harrington was 79 years old. One of the COVID stories we're following up on this afternoon involves the two Portland area schools that had to completely shut down this week, shut down in-person learning. And that means more than 3,000 students at both of those schools are now going back to remote learning. KGW's Christine Pitawanich brings us the details.
The two schools in quarantine are an elementary school in the Gladstone School District and one of the largest high schools in Oregon in the Reynolds School District.
What's happening actually at Reynolds High School is that we had a few COVID cases with students. While we didn't have that many, the issue was the amount of students that we had to quarantine were a lot.
That's Steve Padilla with the Reynolds School District. He says out of precaution and also because it would be too difficult for teachers to split up teaching in person and online, the decision was made to quarantine all of the roughly 2,600 students attending Reynolds High. Next week, they'll start distance learning.
And the reason why we have no school today or tomorrow is to give the teachers time to prep for the distance learning. And so we're giving them a couple days. The students all have their devices.
Meantime, 20 miles away in the Gladstone School District, one staff member who was vaccinated and masked tested positive. They had contact with many students, resulting in the quarantine of an entire school.
Due to a widespread COVID-19 exposure at John Wetton Elementary, all of our students in grades 1 through 5 have been put on quarantine at home. The quarantine happened not because of COVID cases, but because of the exposure. The staff member became aware of symptoms during the middle of the school day.
How many kids are we talking about?
I believe it's 620.
Gladstone School's spokesperson Leslie Robinette says Thursday and Friday will be spent distributing laptops and Wi-Fi hotspots. Teachers will prepare. Then distance learning starts next week. Students at both schools will come back to school in person after 10 days on the 27th.
It's an operational shutdown. We're changing up a few procedures so that way, if it does happen in the future, we're better prepared and less students have to quarantine.
Both districts are now looking at additional ways to protect students and staff. The Reynolds School District will be asking parents to voluntarily submit their students' vaccination status and plans to better track seating in classrooms and on the bus. In the Gladstone School District, there are plans to upgrade air filtration systems that'll provide hospital-grade air quality. Christine Pitawanich, KGW News.
Meanwhile, Portland Public School District is dealing with a smaller scale version of the same situation. So there's a couple hundred students district-wide that are quarantined right now. And some parents are saying that the most frustrating part for them is the district's lack of a plan for distance learning. Portland parents are also asking, what exactly would it take for an entire school to switch to distance learning, just like we saw this week with Reynolds High School? So we asked the district, and the district told us that it's following guidance from their health partners, including Multnomah County. So then we reached out to the county, and the county told us that basically right now there is no one simple metric for when to shut down an entire school. That being said, parents still want a plan.
It's inevitable. Kids are going to miss school. There's no vaccinations for the elementary level. I'll be shocked if they're still there by Halloween.
And here's another situation that's really frustrating some parents right now: the lack of assigned seating on buses. Portland Public Schools says they're in the process of creating seating charts, but those charts weren't done in time to prevent a large quarantine at Dunaway Elementary. Dunaway's PTA president says a student riding the bus tested positive, and with no way to contact trace, 40 other students who rode that same bus were forced to stay home and quarantine. Another big story this afternoon is the heavy rain that Rod Hill has in his forecast. So we're going to hear from Rod in just a moment, but we also want to focus on roads right now because there has not been substantial rainfall here since June, and that means roads are going to be slick with oil and grime. So ODOT right now is taking steps to prevent slides and erosion, especially, they say, in areas that have been burned out around the state by wildfires. All right, Rod. Try to give you a heads up there that we're coming to you next. Now is your time, and now is your turn to talk about all that rain.
Well, so far everything's playing out according to plan. Of course, we are in the very early stages of this. You know, all day today we've had some light rain up around the Long Beach Peninsula, and this morning it was light rain in Astoria, a little bit up around Longview. That's starting to break up. This rain area in general is going to continue to stay just to our north. So if you do have plans to get on I-5 and drive north this afternoon, eventually you'll find some rain. But it looks like Portland down through Eugene, Vancouver as well. We will get through the afternoon hours with no moisture, and for the most part, cloudy skies to thickening clouds. The clouds have been thinner when you get down to the mid-Willamette Valley than they have been up here in the Rose City. So here's the rain itself. 4 o'clock this afternoon, shower chances building southward along the coast, but still nothing inland. Once we get into the evening hours, 6 p.m., we'll start the chance for some showers in the valley. But with that said, we still may not see much of anything until later this evening. Here we are at 9 p.m., a shower chance, yes, but very little going on. So the leading edge of what will be hours of steady rain tonight still showing up right up and down I-5 at midnight. Then that steady rain through 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. That could be a half of an inch all to itself, and we'll talk more about that. Rain chance coming up. You saw Cannon Beach. It's cloudy out at the Gorge too. That's Elk Ridge Golf Course out in Carson, and the downtown Portland temperature is 67 degrees. Okay, rain starts tonight. We'll get into the Saturday and Sunday particulars in just a moment.